Now, live and in studio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, your real estate and financial experts, making sure you win in every market. Your financial partners, Don and Gino.
Well, Gino, I have to start off every intro with happy holidays. I love the holidays.
It's a great time. I mean, if you guys are on my personal Facebook page, I'm sure you've seen that my wife started singing holiday songs maybe about 3 weeks ago, and there was this really cool picture of Batman smacking Robin saying, "It's still November."
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I know I've had it on. Let's see, Coast actually started playing.
Coast?
Yes.
Wow. You're admitting to listening to Coast?
Oh, it's Christmas music all the time, man. I'm addicted. You've seen our house.
Yeah.
We turn our house into, for all of you, honestly, you got to come by and see our house because it turns into winter wonderland. My wife and I spend literally about a week inside and out decorating our home. We're a little addicted.
Yeah, and you spend usually 1 to 2 Sundays on the roof. And this year we said, it's going to be easy. Don's in great shape. Thanks to Afterburn Fitness, we all got in great shape this year. And Don says, "Well, this should be easy. I should be able to knock it out." And then he comes back, and goes, "Still sucks."
Yeah. Tile roof is tile roof, especially 2-story tile roofs that you have to hang over the edge and clip these little clips on to put your lights on. Okay, send me. Here you go. Send me an email saying, or go onto our Facebook page. Go to Don and Gino it's Don and Gino Radio Show. Sorry, the Don and Gino Radio Show, and like our Facebook page. And please send me a little message how much you love putting lights on, especially on a tile roof. Those Spanish tiles. I know you're listening to me. It's no fun.
We should do that. We should run a contest. Show pictures, right? Send us your pictures of you putting up lights on the roof. I like that.
Yeah. And if anybody has a tile roof, you'll be the one in all red because it all comes off on you and everything. But thank you for joining the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. You have entered the vault. That's right, our new custom studios here at Cherry Creek Mortgage. And we'd love you to find out more about us. Go to donandgino.com, DONANDGINO.com. You can find our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, couple hundred YouTube clips, over 130 shows. Join us. We'd love you to be more involved because it's great information.
No, absolutely, Don. In fact, what I like about it is you can see the transgression of the economy, right, just based on our show. If you look at our first few shows, I could say probably the first 6 months of our show, almost every other show was about distress.
Yes.
And now we don't have to talk about distress hardly at all. It's maybe 3 to 5% of the nation's
no, we got
properties.
Good news and opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, you want to stay tuned because we have a brand new guest expert on, and I'm really excited to have Dennis Dishaw with ACI Capital joining us. Welcome aboard, Dennis.
Thanks, guys. I'm glad to be in the vault. Looks great.
You hear that voice? Now, this is a former DJ here. He's got a little experience here, and you can hear it with his voice, right?
Yeah, sure.
You do have that great radio voice.
Thanks, Don.
Well, it's good because all of you out there will be sure to be able to hear Dennis when he talks about these great opportunities and some information regarding commercial. I know at some point in your life, either you or your parents or someone you know has talked about commercial real estate and you wish you knew more. I know I do all the time. And that's why we brought in Dennis. Dennis is going to go into some details, and we'll start off with the basics, Dennis. Let's just start off the differences between regular home loans or home investing and commercial home loans or commercial loans and investing, because they're completely different animals.
Well, from a lender standpoint, they certainly are. Let me take you back in history a little bit. In the early 70s, a new law came out called the Real Estate Settlement and Procedures Act. Now, this had a lot to do with helping mom and dad not get confused about home loans, but it specifically exempted 5 units and above for residential and all commercially zoned property. So that law does not apply to commercial investors. And so some of the protections that your listeners are used to in their home loan, for example, having an APR, well, that's not quoted in commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's correct. So that's one of the big differences between single family and the commercial arena. The other issue that I think your listeners may want to know about is that the lender focuses on the building first and the borrower second. And while there have been some changes in the last 5, 6, 8 years, when we had the excitement back in '08, where the borrowers...
The excitement.
Yeah.
You want to call it that?
I choose to use that word.
It's a very nice word.
However, now we have to pay a little more attention to the borrower than in the past, but still, the key thing that your listeners may want to remember is that the commercial lender does not have to use the same rules. And so, for example, in single-family lending, your lender can't redline.
Right.
They have to make the loan. So unless the house violates safe, sound, and sanitary, the lender's going to do the loan. Now they're going to look at the borrower, and that's how that goes. On the commercial side, the lender can choose not to lend in an area, not to lend on a particular property type, not to lend on who the tenants are. They're primarily focused on, is the cash flow from this property safe, and how much of a loan can I generate for our borrower? So I guess that would be the big differences that we should look at.
So let's go over that real quick, because what I think was the key word there was the cash flow. So in order to get a commercial loan, the property must be profitable by a certain margin on a monthly basis to make sure that you're going to adjust your loan amount to that, to make sure that it's a certain amount of profit, to make sure that the property is profitable to the lender, even if the borrower was to default and lose the property, correct?
That's exactly right. And so there's a built-in cushion, if you will, that the lender will use. And it's called debt service coverage or debt coverage ratio. And so when I do an underwriting of the cash flow of a property, after I've put in expenses and vacancy and repairs and things like that, and we come up with a net operating income, that's the key number for the investor and for the lender, and then we'll take out, this is the math is wrong, but the lender will take out a certain percentage of that income as that cushion, and that's what's called debt coverage ratio. So if we see a debt coverage ratio of 1.25 to 1, again, the math isn't quite right, but the lender's taking out about a quarter of that net operating income to make sure that the borrower doesn't get into trouble, because contrary to some thoughts that we heard in the bad days, the lender really doesn't want the property back, and especially they'll want a commercial property back. So
not very liquid, that's why. In most cases.
Yes, because unlike the home loans, you can usually find a buyer for a home. But if you've got a bowling alley,
right.
or if you've got an office building that's empty, the lender's going to have a really hard time getting that property off their books, and that's why they avoid that.
Now, you've never heard this before, Dennis, but there's no vacancy in California.
Well, bless your heart. And that brings up a really good thing. Yeah, you know what? Southern California especially, the apartment market, the industrial market, even the retail market has improved dramatically. So right now in Southern California, we don't have a lot of apartments comparatively in the Santa Clarita Valley. In the San Fernando Valley, it's apartment city. So the vacancy right now is hovering around 3%.
Excellent.
When you think about that, if you're an owner of an apartment house and one of your units goes vacant, it's going to take you 1 to 2 weeks to get it painted and cleaned up and rented. Well, that's roughly 3% vacancy. In economics, back in the old days when I was at school, we called that frictional vacancy. And so that's what's going on now with apartments. So you really have to be doing a bad job to have vacancy in apartments today.
Yeah, I'll give you a great example, and this is a live, real example, because Don and I talk about this every week on our show. I posted a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit last night for $1,200 in Valley Village, and this morning I already got 2 appointments.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's very good right now.
Now, here's how an investor who does commercial real estate would think about that. So if you buy an investment as a house, a single-family house, when it's vacant, you're 100% vacant. If you buy a 12-unit apartment house and you have 1 vacancy, you're 9% vacant. And that's the mentality that investors in the apartment and commercial industry think about.
Well, I love all the details we're getting. Now, hopefully you're listening. If you just tuned in, we're speaking with commercial lending expert Dennis Dishaw with ACI Capital on the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. And Dennis has been sharing with us some of those interesting aspects I guarantee you have always wanted to know about commercial lending and opportunities. What we want to do is, Dennis, if it's okay, we'll go into a little bit more details about the lending aspects, how you qualify, who
what
qualifies,
programs are available,
what terms are available, but also the pros and cons of investing in commercial. Does this sound good?
You bet.
All right. So stay tuned to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show, and we're going to go into some more details with Dennis Dishaw with ACI Capital Inc. on commercial investing and commercial lending. When we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Ho, ho, ho. We'll be right back.